guys need to do.
Oh, yep. I think I'll let both of us do it.
So, Vicky and Greg, will you guys just tell me a little bit about your I kind of always like to know my audience. Can you just tell me a little bit about your background? Like where you came from, what job you previously had, or
Yeah, sure. I work at ARP IT department. So, being a realtor is my second job.
okay.
I'm trying to balance between two jobs.
Awesome. So you just got your license.
I got my license this April.
Okay. Awesome. And how long have you been with our office?
I think since April 26th.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. And
Yeah, I'm Greg. I'm from Oklahoma. Uh, I've been trying to get my license for like a year and a half. I got it November of last year, and I've been with KW for 5 months now. And then I'm a cashier at Speedway. It's a convenience store.
So for both of you, I'm just curious, what made you where did you guys decide what was the passion behind becoming a realtor?
Mine was one of them was I deserve better. I've been doing sales for almost 10 years, and I'm a first-time home buyer myself. So the feeling that I have, I want to be able to help people who buy their houses too. That anxiety, I want people to feel comfortable and with knowledge that makes people feel safe.
Yes, I love it. Very cool. What about you, Vicky?
I just not happy with my um new construction home, so I'm thinking maybe I can get a license so I can find my own dream home.
Okay, got it. Well, I'll give you guys a little, I love hearing your background. Just a little background from me. I
Yeah.
have been selling real estate with Keller Williams exclusively. I haven't been with any other brokerage for the last almost 23 years. And when I first got into the business, I interviewed several different brokerages and just felt like after meeting with Keller Williams that it was the best fit. I just felt like it had a great support system, great education, which became true. And I started out in a partnership, and then after about 2 years, she wanted to raise a family. I wanted to grow my business. So we parted ways. We're still really good friends. And then, so I've been selling real estate on my own, like by myself, for pretty much 20 years. And, have the support of a transaction coordinator, a marketing company, and someone who installs my signs, someone who delivers my gifts and creates gifts for me. So I've just decided to be my own, like do my own thing, but be supported, if that makes sense.
Sounds
So
great.
yeah, and so many people have asked me, like, why don't you join a team? And I don't think there's anything wrong with joining a team at all. I think it's just what best fits your personality. So, as far as, do you guys have any like questions about just getting into real estate, or like just kind of anything up front before I dive into how to service listings?
No, please go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully this works. I'm going to pull up my listing packet. Okay. Can you guys see that okay?
Yeah, sure
Yes,
can.
we can see it.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So I bring this packet to my listing appointments, I have it professionally done. I'm just kind of scrolling through it quickly. We're gonna go back to all this, but just to kind of see, like, it's about 16 pages. It's professionally done. I'm not saying that you have, starting out as a new agent, I am not saying that this is what you have to do. This is just something that I feel like has helped me further down the road. But I bring this packet with me to my listing appointments, and I touch on, different things like pricing strategy, understanding the market. I usually go over, what's the median sales price, what is time on market, that kind of thing, just sort of a peripheral view. And while I'm there, really what I'm looking to do, and I know this is before the listing content, but I just want to get into that before I go into how I service the listing. But what I want to do while I'm there is create the relationship. So my business is primarily referral based. So usually it's a pretty warm introduction, but sometimes I, have like a cold introduction where they don't know me at all. And so my primary goal while I'm there is to connect and build a relationship. And I always bring like a little something gift to the listing presentation. Typically it's like a candle and some other little thing just to say, like, I love the candle reference. And if you're with Keller Williams long enough, you'll get to know the luxury division. And one of the big things that candles are sort of representative of, like, here's the candle, and like by the time this candle burns out, like your home's gonna be sold. So I always like to bring a little something, but really, like I said, it's there to just build the relationship. So once we have established that we're going to work together, I obviously, I'm one of those agents that is, there are agents that go to listing appointments that go there and bring comparables. And if you guys haven't, I'll pause and just make sure, like, like comparables, you understand that. Like, I just don't want to use verbiage that you're like, what is she even talking about? Like, you understand that, right?
Yes, they do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I just don't know how far with it. I just want to make sure I'm like, so there are agents that go there with comparables and at the appointment sit down and say, okay, this is what you can sell your home for. I am just not one of those agents because I feel like, I can have a conversation on the phone and I try to get little tidbits, is the kitchen remodeled? Are the baths remodeled? Just trying to understand the condition of the home. But there have been many times where I've been told it's like a 10 and I get there and it's like a 5. So I have to, yeah. So I like to go there and just take a walk through the home. And I tell them, I'm going to take notes while I'm going through the home, because what I want to do is go back and look at comparables and really look at apples to apples. I don't want to do apples to oranges. Like, I want to compare if it's a fully remodeled home, I want to compare that to a fully remodeled home. If it's not, and it's a home that needs work, I want to compare it to that. So I'm what's called a 2-step listing agent. And so I go there, I do the walkthrough, I build the rapport. That's what's super important to me. And then I go through comparables, and then I give them a call and I say, this is what I think we can list your home for, and this is why. And I'm going to send you the comparables that I've used and most likely an appraiser is going to use. And here are all the reasons why. I do that. And then I regroup with them. And typically that's when we establish like the listing agreement. So once the listing agreement is established, then I sort of revisit expectations of the market. And sorry, my marketing guy is updating all of this. So this is going to be a little dated. This is July. So I go over like what the median price is. I go over what the average days on market is. I go over, you know, what inventory means, whether we're in like a seller's market, buyer's market. So, and I'll just give you like a real world example right now. Anything that I'm listing right now, I'm saying, you know, we are collecting some days on market. Our market technically is still low inventory. However, we need to price this at a place that it's going to sell if you're, you know, if this is where you're motivated to sell. And in the last couple of weeks, we've seen a little bit of a slowdown in the market. Likely could be affected by the election, could be other factors, but nonetheless, we need to sort of adjust for why we need to come in at this price. So I'm always reviewing the market once I've signed the listing agreement. And I'm always like, I review the market consistently through the listing process weekly, and I'll get into that in a minute. But even right before we go on market, because sometimes you meet with a seller and you're like, you know, they need to touch up paint, or they're finishing a bathroom remodel, or, you know, there's several things that can be happening that take time. And I mean, I've even met with sellers where it's like 2 months, 3 months later that I'm listing the property. And a lot of things could have happened during that time. So I always review the market before we list and remind them that I'm going to do that. There, you know, there might be, if the process is a little bit drawn out, we're going to have to review the market. If it's in like 2 weeks, we're not going to have to do that. I mean, I do anyway, but typically that's not going to have like a dramatic effect on what's happening. And then I go over, well, let me just ask you if you have any questions about what I just said.
No, you good. I was taking notes, so.
I'm trying to talk, I'm a really fast talker, so I'm trying to slow down my cadence so that I'm not speeding through.
I was just gonna say, this is kind of a trick question, but where do you get your information for this? Cause like today we had the market report. I don't know if any of you guys were on there, but it had some really good information, and actually the same slides that she's using here are very similar. These are pretty, compared to what we had today, but where else would you get that in between quarters?
The MLS. So I
Yeah.
use the report section of the MLS.
Awesome.
And so I have a marketing guy that does make it pretty. He pulls the report stats like that we saw today on the call. And as he's updating my packets, he's pulling it from the MLS. But if I need to do it on my own, then if you guys aren't using the report stats on the MLS, they're pretty amazing. I mean, when I first started, we didn't even have that. We had nothing. I mean, I almost feel like it was so basic. Like you kind of had to sort out your own, like, how long is days on market going to be? What's that average price, you know, like in Salt Lake County per square foot. We're really lucky. So, and let me just preface this, like I have an office in the office, and you guys are welcome to knock on my door, email me, call me. I know what it was like when I first started. I needed guidance for sure. I feel like once you get your real estate license, that's great, but I don't know if it really helps with like real life situations. So I'm
You're
always
awesome.
just no, I'm always here for you guys.
You're awesome. And
Yeah.
connections, I'm realizing connections is what I'm trying to build too. And you're right, it is. And you said you joined a team too when you first got on. That's what I've been advised to too. Is like to get on a team. So that's what I've been kind of um trying to look forward to as a team too. So yeah, I appreciate you, girl.
Yeah, no
Yes,
worries.
we appreciate you. There's a question in the chat. I
Oh, I'm
monitored the
sorry.
chat for you. No, it's okay. I got it. I got it.
Okay.
Allie just wants to know how you present the packet. She's a detail girl. So do you give it to them in like a folder, or how do you make it personalized as an experience?
Yeah, so it looks like this. Like this. As you can see, like it's not like bound or anything, but it's like it's nice. Like it's a nice thick copy. And I bring it with me in a folder along with my comparables and my reports on the market. Again, likely I'm drawing those reports from the MLS because, you know, with my packets are only updated quarterly. So with the amount of listing appointments I go on, I'm likely having to do it myself. So I usually have I have a nice black Keller Williams folder, which you can order at the Keller Williams store online. I put my listing presentation packet in there. I put my comparables in there, and I put my reports in there. And I'm touching on pieces of the packet, but really I'm touching more on the market, the connection, the stat, like what their home looks like. Again, like that first appointment. And Allie, I don't think you were on here. Like or you might have been. I'm a two-step agent. So my first appointment is to build rapport and connect, and then go back on pricing over the phone, and then have a second appointment. So I'm not sure if you're on there for that. So hopefully that clarifies that a little bit. So then, so getting to the two-step, the second appointment. So once that listing is signed, I'm like, okay, great. Let's reconnect. Let me come back over. And this is where I really go through the home one of two ways. One, I'm going to have the seller do things. If I feel like they can do some things to make it sellable, I'm going to have them do that. If I feel like it's got to be staged, then I'm going to go over that option.
Okay, I was just about to ask that.
Yeah. And I would say most of my sellers have never really had a pushback on paying for the staging themselves. Have I had to pay for staging? Yeah, I have.
Do you think it's worth it, in your opinion?
I do.
Me too.
Especially in the market that we're in. I just feel like where we're collecting some inventory, you really need to stand out.
Okay.
A vacant home just doesn't, it's funny, I think back, selling vacant homes 18 years ago didn't matter. Like, I don't even know if staging was around. It probably was. I just wasn't using it. But I feel like today, if it's vacant, or if you feel like the seller is willing to like move, they're already in the process of moving out, or they can move things into a pod. I think staging is so worth it. I really definitely see the difference in like what we can get in price and the activity when it's staged.
Okay, thank you.
But I do try to work with, if I can, I do try to work with, when I'm over there in that two-step, I do try to work with their furniture and their belongings if I can. Like, I'm like, okay, you've got to declutter, you've got to deep clean, you've got to move this, you've got to move that. I mean, I've got a pretty good eye, I feel like, where I can get them to that point. But if I don't feel like I can utilize what they have, I mean, I think the most important thing is, like, I always say, like, if you can watch just an episode of HGTV, if you're not understanding what I'm saying, or I'll send you a link so that you get what I'm saying, where like I need all the clutter gone. And I feel like most people are pretty good with that. I mean, there's been some homes that I've sold in my day where I've sold hoarder homes where it's just not going to happen. So you just try to do your best with what you have, but that's why I'm there for that second step. And then I just go over like while I'm there, why it's so important to do these things. Because probably in their brain, they're like, you know, they can't separate, you know, they're emotional about their home, they're selling it, they have stuff. And I just remind them in my packet, why we need to do these things, because this is going to get you, and it's this section, the most amount of money for your home. And like, once they see this and we revisit this, they're like, oh, okay, like I get it. But I mean, sometimes it's a little challenging, but you know, you just do your best.
Real quick, Ashley,
Yes,
do you have a specific person you would use for staging if you were to do the full staging?
I do. I use curated.
Curated. Okay. Sorry if you said that. I was just reading the chat.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay, cool.
And I've used other stagers. I just feel like curated, just their pieces that they stage with are high quality. I've used stagers that are good, but it's kind of cheap. It almost feels like Target-ish. I'm sorry, not to bag on Target. I love Target. Or like like this cheaper. It just doesn't feel, if you're trying to sell like a, you know, $750,000 house and it has like really cheap furniture in it, like that just doesn't match. And I feel
No.
like
Yeah.
they blend that really well. So, and they're, I feel like they're priced well. Okay, so any questions so far before I move on to like the marketing plan? Nothing?
Not on this end.
So then I go over, I revisit, because I usually touch on some of this in my listing presentation, but then I have to create the plan, right? So it's like, what are the next steps? And so we prep the home, obviously. Once the home is prepped, then I order photos and a tour. And I do order stills as well as a video tour, and not like the tour that where you're just kind of moving through the photos, but like where a lot of times it's like an aerial view and then it kind of hones in and sort of flows through the house. I'm sure you guys have seen that. I just feel like that creates an experience, especially for an out-of-state buyer that can't walk the home or is going to use a real estate agent that's going to, you know, have them go view the home for them. But I feel like a video tour, and I don't do, just so you guys know, I don't do a video tour for all of my listings. It just really kind of depends on the listing, depends on the price point. But always a virtual tour, and then like at least the basic video tour. And I use Show Me the Homes. I think they do a great job. I've used other photo companies, and I know we have preferred vendors that are great. I just have an established relationship with them. I've been using them for years. But even our vendor that was at team meeting, do you remember what was his name? Do you remember? I don't remember his name. That was just in our team meeting. His media group sounded great. So if you can utilize preferred vendors, like I would always say that. The only reason I'm not is because I already have an established relationship and they sort of know my like rhythm. And then we revisit pricing, which I talked about like one more time. And then this is when I pass it. Once I get the photos, I pass everything over to my marketing person, which you can do this on your own. This is just because this isn't my strong point, but you can do all this on your own. So, and actually, when you upload your listing to KW, like it's already syndicated through different real estate sites. So that's a good thing. But if you're wanting to do social media stuff like Instagram, Facebook, I have my guy just like create a post for me, but I'm sure you guys are younger than me and like are very savvy on that level. But I just have him do it, and I've been working with him for years. So he does that for me. And then I've worked with enough agents to know, like within a certain neighborhood or price point, I email them, hey, this new listing is coming soon. I don't like to do the MLS agent blasts or the Align showing blasts that you get. Like, I like to create a more personal email to some of the agents that I know that work in the area or the price point. So I do that. And then also same marketing guy, I send him the information on the listing and have him, we do a blog post and a newsletter, like so twice. So the blog post once a month, the newsletter once a month, where that listing is featured. So it's on my website, and it's also emailed out to all of my SOI. Any questions so far before I go to kind of the next list? Good. Okay. And then I remind my sellers, like, you know, in the morning, what I'm doing is I'm making calls to my SOI contacts, agents that I know, or texting just to say like, hey, I'm just getting ready to list this. This is kind of like all the pre-marketing before it goes on market. And I'm even still continuing to do this once it is on market. Especially because I'm part of several different masterminds. And so we're always bringing like our off market or on market listings to each other to see if we have a buyer for that. And then while on market, I am always working on showing responses. I mean, I know Aligned sends an automatic feedback, give me a feedback. I mean, I like that. I just kind of think it's generic. I know you can create your own feedback responses, but I like to actually send a text and I don't know, I just feel like it can be a little bit more personal. So I'm texting to get feedback, and I do it at least 3 times after a showing. And as you know, like sometimes agents just won't respond, but at least give it my all. And then finally, I am every Friday, I review the market. So like, for example, my American Towers listing, I just did that last Friday. I looked at, okay, so what has come on the market? What is under contract, or what has gone under contract, and has anything sold? And I'm updating my clients on that so that they understand where we're at. And for example, with that one, it is slower right now, which is fine. And so nothing had really happened within like that condo community. But I want them to know that and understand that, because if we do need to do some sort of price adjustment, I don't want to, first of all, think it's just them. And again, with the feedback, if something comes back in the feedback that is consistent and fixable, I want to make sure that we're able to do that or address that so that it doesn't come back anymore. Like, we saw the furnace was old and, it was banging or something. And if we need to replace the furnace or do something like that, then we would do that. So that's pretty much what I do as far as, and then obviously in team meeting, if, like when Robin's asking like what new listings are coming up, like making sure that everyone knows that like a new listing is coming up. So that's pretty much everything that I do to service the listing a little bit before and during, and then I can talk a little bit after. but the during, do you guys have any questions?
No, you good.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So with all these changes in the agreements, is there any change when you talk to your sellers or your buyers?
So with sellers, I honestly haven't really had a seller say anything about the changes. I mean, meaning they've been willing to sign like a 6% or a 5.5% agreement, like with kind of zero questions.
Yeah. Is there any clients will say, I'm not going to pay for the buyer like that?
I have not had that happen. I have had on the, like if I representing the buyer, I did have one situation since the changes, because I don't want you guys to be fearful of this, because I really feel like there was a lot of hype, and not to discount it, but a lot of kind of hype about it. And I really feel like it's normalized a little bit. But I did have one buyer situation where I put in an offer, and I'm not just so you guys know, I'm not calling the agents ahead of time and asking what commission they're offering. I'm just writing in the commission that I have signed with my buyer.
Yeah.
And I'm telling my buyers, like, yes, technically you are responsible for paying me. However, I'm going to do everything in my power to get the seller to pay me. And I've successfully done that. But here's my one example. So I put in the offer. I called the agent and I said, here, here's what our offer is. And it was a really good offer. And I am asking for a 3% commission. And she was like, oh, that's not going to work. And I said, okay, well, what is your seller willing to offer in commission? And she said, well, he doesn't really want to pay anything in commission.
Yeah.
And I said, well, this is a referral and I have to pay a referral fee. And my buyer's a first-time home buyer. Like they barely have the down payment. So I need you to come up with a solution with your seller. We're giving you a really good offer and I need you to come back with something to me.
Yeah.
And they came back to me and said, okay, we'll pay you 2.5. It wasn't 3. It was 2.5. And that's the least I've been paid since the whole change. So what I would say about the whole commission, like, don't be fearful. Like, I would just say, like, don't even, I mean, you guys can do what you want to do, but I don't even call. I write because I don't even want the agent and the seller to be thinking about this. I'd rather just write the offer and submit it. And there it is. And then they've got clarity on numbers. This is the commission I'm asking. This is the offer we're writing. Here's all the terms. We feel it strong and come back to us. And I think you guys will be really successful in that. Does that help?
That was a
So
great
clarify
question.
real quick.
Yeah,
So are you saying you just put it in the rep C
correct.
as you, okay, you don't even worry about talking, you just put it right in what you want. And then
I just think that's the cleanest and easiest way. And then you don't have them like, I feel like sending over commission agreement, like, again, do what you want. But I just feel like sending over all those preemptive measures, I think the likeliness of you getting less of a commission is higher than if you just write it into the offer and they're like, oh, so she's asking for this commission and they're offering a really great offer with a really great down payment. And they're qualified with my lender and we're going to close in 30 days. Like they see all the terms, like it's like they have everything in front of them versus like sending over something, getting that back, and then like moving forward. I just think it's just easier, honestly. And I've done that. Like, I mean, so the changes were what, August? I don't even think August, September, October. Yeah. And I think I've closed like six or seven since then. And they've all been totally smooth and fine with doing it that way.
And that,
Awesome.
just to clarify one more time, sorry, so that covers everything that's required, and just to have it right there in the agreement. the
Yeah, I
contract.
mean, you still need to have your buyer broker agreement, right? Like with
Sure.
what you've agreed to, and that needs to match what you're asking for in the rep C. But yeah,
Okay. That clarifies things.
yeah. And I've like, just so you know, like, this is all, I mean, all of my transactions have been compliant, and Lindsey like reviews them, our broker. And yeah, and she's fine with it. Like she agrees that that's kind of the easiest way. But, you know, some brokerages are weird. Like I had one that was like, nope, we need to have a commission agreement. And I was just like, okay, like that's fine. That just complicates the transaction, but okay, just in going back and forth and countering, but it's fine. I mean, whatever you have to do, but I think if you're writing offers, I do think that that's like the easiest way to do it. And if you, again, I'm here to help. If you want to review it, if you want to come into my office or send something to me and just say like, this is what I'm writing up. I mean, obviously Lindsay's the broker, but if you want to just initially like, you know, review it with me, I'm happy to do that. So, okay, just like, and then finally, like once the offer is received on the listing, I review the market again, because typically, you know, it might have been in this market, maybe 30 days. So we get the offer. I want to see what is sold, gone under contract, become active, especially if it's less than asking. So that I can go to the seller and say, okay, like this is the offer. Yeah, it's 15,000 less, but you know, the last 2 homes that have sold are, you know, have also sold for like 10 to 15,000 less. So this might be something that we want to consider, especially, you know, now an appraiser may use these comparables where like when we met 30, 45 days ago, the comparables were a little bit higher. So I'm always re-reviewing the market. And then once we accept the offer, then I'm going through the next steps. Okay, so next steps are you're going to have to fill out the seller's disclosures. And then we're going to get an inspection. And then we're going to have an appraisal. And all of these things are marked by these deadlines. And I use Michelle, my transaction coordinator in our office. And so she has like a cover sheet that lays out the deadlines with a copy of like the entire contract. And I just remind them like, you know, remember when we went under contract, that cover sheet, those are our deadlines. So I'm going to keep track of that. Michelle's going to keep track of that. And I'm going to remind you as we approach those deadlines, what that looks like. I'm going to let you know when the buyer's agent reaches out to me for inspection. I'm going to coordinate that with you. We obviously will review inspection together if there are inspection requests. If there's any dispute, like we feel like, and like they want electrical or they want a furnace replaced and we feel like the bid's too high, I have contractors that I can get a second opinion on. I'm here with you through the whole process. And then obviously our final like deadline will be, you know, making sure that your home appraises. I feel comfortable it will appraise because we've reviewed the comparables several times. So I'm confident it will appraise. And then we'll head to closing. And once we head to closing, I'll schedule that. I'll schedule that with you, the title company. Just as a reminder, this is when you need to be out of your home based on the contract. We'll exchange keys. And then after I close with my sellers and buyers for that matter, I always, I send them a nice closing gift, obviously. I don't bring it to the closing table. And this is just a personal thing. I just feel like there's a lot going on and I like them to be like more settled in and moved in by the time they're getting that gift. And I make sure that I'm adding them to my contact management system, which I use Top Producer, which I know, you know, you can use Command. I mean, that's great. I just have used Top Producer forever. And then I'm also making sure that I add them to my social media. So I'm adding them to Instagram and Facebook. And then I am asking them for a Google review. So I send them a link that asks them if they're willing to send me a Google review. And that's the end of my transaction with sellers. Do you guys have any questions, or is there anything that I can answer or help with?
Do you do anything to incentivize the people to do reviews, or do you find if you send them the link and just make it easy, they're doing it?
So this is my, like, the email I send. I send him an email that's the subject line is gift coming your way and favor to ask. And I just say, hey, keep a lookout in the next week. Gift is going to be coming your way. Because these days I worry about people stealing gifts off porches. So I'm like, keep a lookout. And I would love if you would be willing to give me a Google review, but I completely understand if you're not comfortable with that. So it gives them the out, but I don't have anyone that doesn't do it. Or
Okay.
that, like, maybe they just forgot, like the email just got buried and they forgot that's
Yeah. And do you just do it on Google? Do you just
I
send the
do.
link for Google? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned that, I mean, I know Zillow reviews were like popular for so long, but I just feel like so many agents are paying such high volume to get leads off of Zillow. I just feel like it's so in favor of those who are paying like the big bucks that I just feel like, I mean, when I go to look for something, if I don't have a contractor or a something, like I Google it, and then, you know, a list of whatever comes up, and I am seeing like who has the most reviews.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Any
And
other questions, you guys?
and again, I'm like, if you think of stuff after, do they have my contact info?
Nope, but I can give it to them. Or you could, do you want to put it in the chat and then I
Yeah, I'll
think.
put it in the chat.
Okay.
Because I really want you to know that I am like an open, like, door, like, really, you can call me, text me anytime, because I know when I first got in, I needed help. And I bless the agents that help me. So, I mean, I really want you to know that, like, any way that I can support you guys, I'm here.
That is awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. And I'm excited for you guys to be with our brokerage. Our brokerage is super fun.
Yes. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. Any other questions, you guys? It doesn't even have to be about this.
Yeah. If it's about anything real estate related, just ask me.
Well, I guess to make some time go by, I had a person yesterday with one of my friends. So I'm on a referral side now because I couldn't pay the fee. But I had a client that he was looking for a place, and I told him that without a buyer broker agreement, I can't. Me and my team really can't do anything because I didn't tell him I was a referral agent. I'm just playing off of like what Terry and them told me to do. Um, so I found him a property, and I sent him a text saying, "Hey," because he wants to buy a property for a rental because he already owns a house, so he want to buy just for passive income. So I sent him a screenshot and a link for the property, and then he asked me how much was rent, and I was like, what I should have did is ask Terry or Lori, is there a way I can find out rent prices? But I told him that I had no idea what he could rent his house out for because Utah has no rent control law. So, and stuff like that. And I had no idea anything about rent prices. So I think I lost him because he got upset with me and he was like, if you want to be my agent, you need to know rent analysis. And I was like, we don't really get taught these things. So I can do some research for you, but off the bat, I couldn't tell you how much a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house you could rent it for. So it was just really weird.
I have a great site for you. And it's free.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Rentler.com.
Rentler, like Ler.
R-E like rent, R-E-N-T
Yeah.
L-E-R
Ler. Okay.
.com.
Got you.
And the nice thing about Rentler is it gives you the average, like, let's see, the average, the medium, and then like kind of the top of the market value. And I find it to be pretty accurate. So we have rentals. And the other thing you could do as a second side check is go on to Zillow and no, it's not Rentler. Sorry, it's Rentometer. Rentler, so let me erase all that. So when you're gonna like look at the like what I was just describing, the average, the medium, and the high, it's Rentometer.com.
Okay. Got you.
But your side checks are Zillow and Rentler. Rentler is KSL's version, like that's what they use for rents. Zillow is they have a rent section. You can do all of this for free. You just go in, like plug in an address, and then you can kind of like look around like on a map of sort of what, because you plug in like it's a 3-bed, it's a 2-bath, and here's the address, and it gives you like a mapscape of what things are renting for in that area.
Okay.
But Rentometer is really accurate, I feel like. So you could even, if I were you, I would get on Rentometer, I would plug in the address, see what it says, plug in the address on Zillow and Rentler, and reach back out, send him a text and say, hey, I've done some research and here's what I think you could get for this property. And
Okay.
and then you're the pro.
Okay. That's actually really good advice too. Because he was like a little upset with me, and I'm like, I'm just doing this as a friend because we're not even in the BBA right now. So if you really want to put me to work or put us to work, I need to sign a BBA. So I'm just doing this just on the side. So that's why I was like, just don't get upset with me when I'm doing this for free, and I'm not even, he's not even in the contract or anything. So
He'll appreciate it. I would do that and reach back out.
I got you. I'm going to. Thank you.
And don't ever be like, and I feel like some of the new changes with the industry have created some fear. And like, there's no harm, even if he's upset, there's no harm in reaching out. Like, either he's going to be appreciative or he won't respond. And either way, it doesn't matter. Like, you did your job.
Come on, girl. I'm like, you're right too. It's not gonna hurt me, but either way.
Yeah. Exactly.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, we really appreciate your time. So thank you so much for doing this tonight. It was awesome. So
You're
hopefully you
welcome.
guys took some really good notes, and this recording will come out to you tomorrow in your weekly email.
Awesome. And
Thank
again,
you.
I'm here to support you guys. So reach out to me if you need me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.